Broadcast is live.
Hello, everyone. We are here live tonight. My name is April Tribe Juke, and I am broadcasting from Kyle, Texas. And here with me tonight is an amazing woman, and her name is Marci Brockmann. And Marci, where are you broadcasting from tonight?
Tonight I am in Kings Park, which is on Long Island, New York.
Wow. So we've got some New York here. So let's shout it out. We've got all the way from Texas to New York. We're casting a big net, and this is going global. So let's, have everyone show up here, pop up live. When you do show up, share where you're from and comment. We want you to be a part of all of the discussions that will be happening tonight. As you can see across the bottom, the topic is permission to land, to heal, to find your light. And so this is going to be an exciting time. And one little last minute of business. For those that are commenting and showing up, filled up, shining, a copy of Out of Darkness will be yours tonight. We will ship that off by Saturday. So we're really excited to see who is here with us and share and just see how things are running. Okay, Marci, it looks like we've got some people here. So tell us a little bit.
It's interesting that you can see that. I can't see that.
I can see that. So
excellent.
Share with us what Marci is all about.
Marci is all about inspiring other people to be happy and feel free within their lives to go for their dreams, to trust that inner voice inside of them and not be held back by fear or trauma or anything that happened in their past, but to heal from it and let it go and move forward. So in order to do that, I'm sort of non-traditionally combining a whole lot of talents. I used to work as a graphic artist, and I was in public relations, and I did nonprofit fundraising and all sorts of random, very different things. And then 25 years ago, became a high school English teacher. And somehow this led me to painting. It's a kind of an odd circuitous circle. And then I started an art business, and through the process of healing after my mother died of technically drug addiction, I began to piece together the patterns in my own life and finally heal from all of the trauma, the 40 some odd years of difficulty. And that's what became Permission to Land, my memoir here. Permission to Land, Searching for Love, Home, and Belonging is my search for love, home, and belonging, healing from the trauma of growing up with a bipolar drug addict mom and a narcissistic father, and their divorce, and my own emotional abuse and neglect, and how that imprinted itself on the way I saw myself and all of my future relationships. And it's a very long road.
Oh, it is a long road. And going through all of this, finding within your circle, when you were starting off with your art, what did the art mean for you?
Well, if I could go back in time, what I would like to do is thank the younger Marci, who, in the midst of all of this trauma as an adolescent, instead of turning to all of these negative behaviors that teenagers tend to do sometimes when they're being rebellious and there's a lot of stuff in their lives that they're trying to figure out, instead of doing that, I turned inward. I've always had a very active inner dialogue, and I turned inward and started writing in a journal. So I've been keeping a journal very regularly since 1985. So it's been 35 years of writing and drawing and painting. And I've always been a very creative person. And through the creativity is how I express everything that I've ever felt. And so after my mom died, I decided that adding the art back in to the creative outlets was something that I needed to do to heal and get over it. And then I showed a painting of mine to a friend, and he's like, "Oh my God, I want this." He bought it for his office. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to commission you to make one for my conference room." And then suddenly I started thinking, I'm not just painting for me, although it taught me patience and it taught me all sorts of very valuable life lessons about resilience and about not giving up, and gave me a lot of quiet time to be alone with my thoughts. Suddenly I realized I could make a business out of this. And so that's how that got launched.
Wow, how fantastic. Through something you said was you got to be alone with your thoughts, that inner dialogue through the art, and it taught you patience.
Yeah.
That is really powerful, especially when we're going through healing journeys. So
Absolutely.
in that, did you have to give yourself permission, like it says in your book, permission to land? What is that you mean by that?
Okay, so it's a two-part question. I'm going to address the first part first. So, yeah, I used to not be a patient person. I decided I want something, and I'm sort of impetuous, and I sort of just jump off into it and do it, which isn't always conducive. And healing is a slow process, and you can't decide that you want to be at the end goal without actually going through the whole thing. And so I developed the mantra, the philosophical mindset of the only way out is through.
The only way out
is
the
through.
Pain, of the trauma,
of the pain, of the trauma, of the grief, of whatever it is to go through it. You can't sidestep it. You can't skip it. You can't go under it. The only way to get to the other side is to go through it. I even had it tattooed on my arm so that I wouldn't forget.
You need to go through it. In the process of going through it, do you feel that fear is the number one thing that stops people?
Well, yeah, because I think they're afraid to feel the gamut of emotions. You know, I mean, grief is overwhelming. It can feel like a deep well you can never climb out of. The pain of abuse, the pain of neglect is also the same thing. Wouldn't we prefer to not have a life filled with those things? We would have nothing to compare our joy with. You know, it's the whole yin and yang balance thing. You know, you can't have the joy or the happiness and the elation without the jubilance, without the grief and the trauma and the sadness. You know,
agreed, 100%. That opposition in all things is absolutely true, because if you think about how a child expresses themselves, it's very much on a level that is, it's just kind of in this flow of harmony. And yet at the same time, when they fall, hurt themselves and experience some pain, when they're not in the pain, they, wait a minute, this is so much better. They start to gain a perspective of what can really happen in life.
And that each experience is just a moment in time.
It's
not going to last forever. You will get through it. You know, I don't think that young people know that, because it's either all they've experienced or their concept of time is different than a grown-up's. You know,
exactly.
I'm 52, so each year's 1/52nd of my life, not when I was 15 and it was a whole 15th of my life. Your perspective changes.
It's right.
So to get to the second part of your original question, permission to land came from a metaphor that I wrote in an article that I published on Elephant Journal in early of 2015. I had felt for a very long time like I wasn't really living my life. I was a chronic people pleaser and really ignored my own feelings and ignored my desires and what I wanted in my life. I sublimated all of Marci in order to make other people happy, because I thought that was my job. And you can't make anybody happy but yourself. And the sooner we learn that, and the sooner we really internalize that, the more light and happiness we'll have. Not to say that you should be selfish, but the only one whose life you can control is yourself. The only one whose happiness you have any control over is yours. And so for a long time, I felt like I was an airplane circling a runway over an airport waiting for permission to land. Like the permission to land concept would mean that I was actually able to live in my own truth, live in my own light, and listen to my heart and the inner voice inside me, and begin to trust her and respect her. And I was waiting for something to happen, some enlightenment of some sort that would signal that I had permission to land finally.
Wow.
And I gave it to myself. What I figured out was that it wasn't an external thing. It was an internal thing.
That is exactly right. When we come to that discovery, it is the inside thing. Something that I find just so interesting, simple, but maybe it's kind of silly, is the Wizard of Oz, I've shared this with other guests through the week, is that she had the power within her the whole time.
Right.
She suffered, she went through the journey, she grew a lot. And in the end, she's like, it still isn't working. And it was just like, instead of looking without, look here. You had the thing all along. So when you
Right.
gave yourself the permission to land, what happened next?
Kind of everything in my life fell into place. I was able to get closure with my mother's death. I was able to make my relationship with my father better and more authentic. I think I became a better mother to my children, which was the most important part. And I became more authentic with myself. I really allowed myself to have my art business as a goal. I really allowed myself to be vulnerable and open up and find love. And my current husband, Michael, it's a rather cute story, actually. We've been friends for over 30 years. We met in 1987, and we're just friends for a length of time, for 29 years. And then he was reading that article that I wrote where I used the metaphor of permission to land and changed his Facebook cover photo to be a runway. And I thought it had something to do with his avid love of video games. And so I didn't say anything. And then a year later, when we were dating, it came up in conversation somehow. And he said that he changed the cover photo to be the runway so that he could be my safe place to land. That when I finally gave myself permission, he wanted me to land with him, which is what we did.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love what Sandra says here. She says, we are the only ones who can give us permission.
Absolutely.
Absolutely true on that. And I find it really interesting and satisfying as we're helping and supporting so many people that within our groups that read our books, that maybe go through our coaching programs, when they actually give themselves that permission to land, they find everything that we've been talking about.
Right.
But before they actually land, they don't believe it. Right? They're like,
right. Oh yeah, they don't know.
Hesitant, they're scared, they're worried, or why would yours be different than anything else? I've tried, or maybe I really haven't fully tried, and all of that. And then when they do and land, what is something that you have seen as people have been reading your books and giving you back feedback? What is something that has impacted you from maybe helping someone else find their permission to land?
Yeah, I don't think that I can overstate at all how amazing it feels to know that my story has inspired or motivated or made somebody else feel better about the position they're in and make them feel empowered to do something about their own life and find their own light and give themselves permission. And I've been hearing that from readers all over the country. It's really quite amazing. It wasn't really what I was thinking about when I started the book. I wasn't sure I was ever going to even publish it. I was just looking at it as a way to get catharsis and closure in my own journal, kind of. And then, a couple of 100,000 words in, I realized there was something good going on here. So,
wow, over 100,000 words going in. Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. You had a lot to say. And when people read through that, it is something that really can help. I know Sandra said something here while we were talking, is that idea and concept of where we don't give ourselves permission to land. We don't try and find the healing process. She says it's very typical of anyone that has been neglected or abused. Right. And I'm sure you felt possibly both of that in the situation of a mom that was suffering from mental health challenges, from a dad that was only focused, or we have the control here, so we're going to make sure that all are in that control. Right. Very tough situation. Yet you've come out of it. And that is increasing so many amazing things within your life, your children's lives, and now it's impacting other people. So absolutely. My question is, was it worth the journey of going through?
Oh, absolutely. The personal journey of going through the whole thing and going through the journey, reliving it again as I was writing, which was very difficult to relive all of those excruciating moments and be able to flesh them out so that other people could feel what I felt and see what I saw. That was huge. And it took me a long time to sort of figure out how I was going to tell the story, and many sleepless nights reliving and remembering and going through all of the trauma. It was, thank God for my husband. He was my salvation during the writing period.
Yes.
But you know, the most important thing that for me that changed throughout this process is that I became the mother that my children needed me to be. My relationship with my mother was very toxic always. And she had plenty of moments where she was Mary Poppins and fun and beautiful and generous and loving. And I loved her when she was like that. My life was sunny and fun and jubilant. But then at a moment's notice, the dark shadow could cross her face and she became Cruella de Vil. And there was no predicting that. And it wreaked havoc on my life for 45 years. And I would have probably stayed in that boxing ring, duking it out with her forever if it wasn't for my kids. My mom and I had a fight in January of 2012 over nothing. And she stood in my house and screamed such vile things at me that my children were afraid and ran down the hallway and locked themselves in my daughter's room crying. And there was something that switched on in me, that mama lion thing to protect my kids. And I threw my mother out. And she left screaming at me like she was in the middle of a Jerry Springer episode. And I never spoke to her again. She made the decision at that point. I had written her a letter the week after, giving her a choice. She could either stay with the drugs and you're alone forever and you'll never see us again, or you can go into drug treatment counseling and you'll never be alone again. But she was too far gone and chose the path, the evil path. And we never saw her again. But at that moment, I switched from being the abused, helpless daughter to the strong, powerful lioness mama, and was able to help my kids. Therapy and lots of talking, and we put it behind us and put it into context, and we've all been better for it. So the intergenerationality of all of that ended over. No problem.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't easy. Let me not understate that. But
not easy.
But it was the best thing I ever did for all of us.
Correct. In breaking that that cycle, Sandra says, bravo, because it is so tough. There are so many things. She also says, you are so courageous. You saw something that was the terrible path. You chose to go through it. You chose in a split second. And I think that that is the most powerful thing that can be said here tonight. It was a choice.
Right.
It was a choice to stop being a victim. It was a choice to stop this continuously toxic cycle. It was a choice. And some people,
and it wasn't only it, I didn't learn it completely in that day. I became the mom I needed to be, but I didn't really fully live wholly in that bravery, in that courageousness, or and I still allowed my ex-husband to treat me that way. And I had it all sort of worked together to give me the strength to get out of what was an emotionally abusive marriage. And we were all better for it. You know, I realized, you know, so many people stay in the marriage because of the kids and they feel like that's their duty. But then, you know, not only did I not want that for myself, but I didn't want that template of a relationship to be what my kids knew. Would I want this marriage for either of my children? Absolutely not. Do I want my son to grow up thinking that the way his father treats me is the way he should treat women? Absolutely not. Do I want my daughter to accept this as how she should be treated by men in her life? Absolutely not. And so that was it. That was my permission when I realized that in order to be the best mother I could be and to be the best Marci I could be for me, this is what I had to do. And again, it's not easy, But once you've made that decision and you know the decision is right and you trust your inner voice, there's no going back.
No going back. Precisely. And in that journey of going forward, it is scary. The unpredictability is there. The vulnerability is there. However, you also have the awesome opportunity for hope. This awesome outlet that wasn't there. It wasn't presented there. It still can be fearful, but it's not hopeless. Actually, you've been given so much more hope. And the start with your mom, then started into with your husband and now ex-husband. Now the kids have this understanding where we talked about at the beginning, the opposition, right? They now can see that's toxic. That's unhealthy. I remember that feeling. I'm looking for the healthy feel. Oh, look, mom now. She's got this healthy relationship. That's what we're looking for. That's the thing. So the whole concept of that when children are within that and they can see like really consciously through therapy, through conversations, through really pointing it out directly, that right there was not healthy. This over here, better. Can you feel the difference? And you have those hard conversations. And when you do, they start to see that and think, instead of just going on with the habit, thinking, wait, I actually have power here. I can actually make a choice. Mom made a choice.
And she rebuilt her life. We sold the house. We bought our own house. Mom has a job. She supports all of us. Everything's great. You know, you want to sing, you go out and sing. You want to dance, go out and dance. You want to learn how to play lacrosse, go play lacrosse. You know, anything you want, you can go do. The only limit is yourself.
So true. By what we fear that we can't see or we worry about. So that's just something that we push forward through. It's just like in anything, there's always kind of a shadow, kind of a dark thing of like, I don't know what's out there. But we have light. We have so many things that can maybe push through it. And as we take a few more steps, we're like, hey, this is actually okay. And then a few more and a few more. And we fall, we still get scrapes, bumps, and bruises.
Sure.
But that's part of remembering, okay, that part didn't work so great, but we're going to keep going forward because like you said, you can't go back.
You can't go back. And like you've been saying for as long as I've known you, you need a plan. You know, you tell these women in these domestic violence situations, you need a plan and then you need it to be actionable and you need to go. So, you know, I made a plan and I worked the plan and got out. That was it.
That's right. Exactly. Without a plan, you will stay stuck because there isn't Superman that's going to come and save you.
You have to be your own Superman.
You have to do
or
that.
Or Wonder Woman or whatever.
That's right. You have to be the one to take the action to go and do. And making the plan, part of that, a massive part of that, are the supporters. You said you were able to talk, you did counseling, you did some therapy, but then you said a lot of talking. So I'm assuming that would probably be with friends, with something where you could actually have some kind of outlet and a support that helped you to get into these next levels.
Well, it turns out that my stepmother's entire family are all psychiatrists, so that helps.
That is really awesome.
That helps. You know, a little medication to help the anxiety is also helpful. But it really was a lot of talking, a lot of writing, pages and books and pads and whatever, thousands of kilobytes on my computer, and lots of conversations with my kids, you know, to talk about everything, all of their fears and all of their worries, and making sure that they knew that just because I didn't want a relationship with their father, that in no way did that mean that they couldn't explore a relationship with their father, that, you know, they needed both their parents. We tried to be as amicable as possible and put the kids' needs 100% first. And they had to know that, you know, that we were there for them, both of us, even though it was no longer a traditional family. So
that's right. That is something really important. We're putting the kids first in the sense of the conversations. They're first in learning how to understand what healthiness is. That's the first, not the pandering. It's really the first of what their concerns and needs are in order to become that independent, healthy, you know, person that can really add to their life, others' lives, all of that. So way to go, Marci. So let's hold that book up there and show everybody. So Permission to Land.
It's shiny. It glares.
It is shiny. This awesome, amazing book has the opportunity for everybody to vote for it because it is up for an
Author Academy Award.
Academy Award, and she will be found on page 9 in the memoir category. And we only have voting that goes on till Friday at midnight, and then it stops. So please put those votes in. Go to page 9, see that amazing runway, the sunset, and get that permission to land. Vote for it. And while you're there, comment to say, I voted for you, share it out loud. We want Marci to be able to get into that top 10. We have so many people that have put their names into this amazing competition. And in the competition, we want, truth to come out, things and light. But really, her work there is going to be helping and supporting so many people. So Marci, with our time is drawing close here, what is it that you would like to leave with our audience tonight?
Your healing and your goals are all up to you. That you are 100% in control of all of it. You just have to allow yourself to feel everything you have to feel and experience what you have to experience in order to get there. Give yourself permission to land. Remember, the only way out is through. And you're a champion. Just by thinking about wanting more, you already show that you're ready for it.
Wow. Look at that. Go through it. You can be that champion. You make the decision. You're the one 100% in control. That is truly powerful for when a life has been felt of completely out of control. Absolutely. Marci is saying you have the support, you have the control, you have the power within to do this. So please pick up her book, read through how she learned so many amazing lessons that you then can apply into your life. Thank you so much, Marci.
Thank you so much, April. This has been super fun.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been really, really nice. And I have to tell you, I have it right here.
There you go.
I've started. We're about this far in, so we're coming. We're coming. Yeah.
I did just publish a second book that's a companion journal to Permission to Land called Permission to Land, Personal Transformation Through Writing. And what I've done is given the reader over 100 pages of thought-provoking questions and writing prompts to lead someone else on this journey, the same journey that I undertook with my book, the same journey that you undertook with yours, to try to flesh out their memories and their experiences and find that inner voice and learn to trust it again. And so for those who are a little unsure about going on the journey on their own, I'll hold your hand through it, So that's available on my website at marcibrockmann.com, and it's all available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and everywhere worldwide that the memoir is available. And the cover is exactly the same, so you can't miss it.
Excellent. That is a really powerful companion to know that, because I'm sure when we're writing, when we're thinking about things, when we're reading through, there is right there a place to write and to keep going. Wonderful. Absolutely. Great job. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you for your wonderful comments. And we will see you tomorrow night. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, April.
You're welcome.